Chaz, David Scales, Chaz Smith for the Grit.
Back
Now,
for more.
you know, for our subscriptions, no longer accepting Bitcoin because of its environmental damage. Cash only.
That is so sad to hear.
I know.
Kelly Slater's sad too.
Exactly.
Kelly Slater's
he's happy that we're not accepting it.
I think Kelly was playing he's playing a fast and loose game here. Kelly is trying to
Oh my gosh.
out Musk.
You're right, he is.
He totally is. With
He's
his
trying to
market
drop.
with his market manipulations. The wise and grand Kelly Slater.
I didn't even think about that.
Puppet master. He totally is. Such a kook.
All right, we'll get into that in a minute. There's other stuff to catch up on.
Are we taking Dogecoin?
I think we should.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Doge?
I love Doge.
Do you?
Yeah. I got a Doge position.
Do you really?
Heck yeah.
What price did you buy in at?
I bought Doge in at I think 55. So I'm
55 cents.
Yeah, so I'm down, but down short term. I'm a diamond hand Dogecoin holder.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So did you listen to the Daily's episode on Doge?
I didn't.
This last week?
No.
I think it was on Monday. So the title of the episode was an interview with a Dogecoin millionaire.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is going to be fascinating, right?
Sure.
God, it was the cringiest episode ever.
Because the guy was cringy?
Yes. The guy was so dumb. It was an advertisement, really, against Doge because how dumb this guy was.
Was he wasn't the inventor of Doge.
No, he was not.
One of those is Australian. Did you know that? Does that make you more interested in Dogecoin? It's
No.
half Australian. It's
No.
basically the beach grit of cryptocurrencies.
These microphones are made in Australia, by the way.
Nice.
I know. I noticed that just today. So they do give the backstory for how it was invented, why it was invented. It was essentially a meme coin.
Yeah.
Obviously. Never meant to be taken seriously, just
Yep.
like a complete send up of crypto.
Sure.
Right? But in the crazy world we live in,
It's serious.
memes are real life. Like art reflects life. It's almost the most accurate depiction of life.
Memes are more real now than anything.
Totally.
I mean, and that's what we've talked about it on the show. All a currency needs to be a currency is have faith behind it, right? Which Doge has.
That's all that cash is.
And Doge has been resilient. But back to the cringe. What made him cringe?
He took out $250,000 in debt, in loan. Like
Yep.
borrowed $250,000,
Yep.
put it all into Doge.
What did he
4 cents.
Oh, so he's still laughing.
He bought it at 4 cents.
Yep.
When they recorded the interview, it was worth $1.8 million.
Yep.
And by the time the interview was published, it was down to about 1.2 million.
Yep.
But at the end, after explaining all of it, like, and by the way, this guy is cringy just because how dumb he is. Like ultimately,
But he's not that dumb if he bought Doge at 4 cents.
well,
Pretty smart.
by the end, right? Well, by the end of the episode, they're like, "So did you take out, your initial investment to pay it back?" And he's like, "No,
I'm letting it
not
ride.
at all. Like I'm in this for we are going to be buying groceries with Doge in the future. This will be the currency that lasts." And if you would have told somebody to take their money off the table when Bitcoin went to $1,000, if they bought in at $1 and when it went to 1,000, if you would have told them to take their money off the table, you would have sounded smart at that time. But now you would regret that decision, when it was trading at 60,000 at the time. And so I'm staying in this thing for the long haul. You guys thinking because it's up to 50 cents or whatever it was. What is it now?
I think it's down to 4. Last time I checked, it's like mid 40s.
I think it got to 75.
It got to 75.
Yeah. So he's like, yeah, if you would have, told me to get out at 75 cents, this thing's going to $60,000.
To the moon.
Yeah, you guys are crazy, And they're like, no, you're a millionaire. You could be a millionaire in real life, not just on paper. If you take out, just take out $1 million. And he's just like, no, you guys are stupid.
I'm in with the Doge guy.
Okay, you got to listen to him.
Cousin Dan, my cousin Danny, the bank robber, finishing. I just got the edits back for the book. Oh man, talk about creative paranoia. Digging back into the edits of a book is terrifying. But anyway, cousin Danny, he was my cousin Danny. For those who don't know, famous-ish bank robber.
What's his claim to fame as a bank robber?
I mean, hitting so stinking many. He robbed 19 in like 6 weeks in Southern California, and then went on the lam and robbed an untold many more while on the lam across the Western United States. So anyhow, to get, when he's on the lam, you got to get fake IDs, you got to do this kind of stuff. So he would buy, Bitcoin and all that. And so I talked to him on the phone recently and said, Cousin Dan, do you have like a whole cache of Bitcoin somewhere? He said, I wish. Like I bought a bunch. I think he bought a bunch for like $1 when Bitcoin was $1. And when it went to $1,000, he, woohoo, this is amazing. So it sold it all. And so, yes, so that would be Doge dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I say this guy's cringy, it's not because of his ideology,
Sure,
or like his
he
philosophy.
was just cringy.
Well, he's so dumb. You listen to him talk and you're just like, God, this guy's dumb. And then it makes me realize this is the society that we're living in. We've created a society wherein the dumbest people can do something very, very stupid. Take out $250,000 and buy
A meme stock.
a meme stock
Yeah.
and become a millionaire.
Yeah.
Ultimately almost overnight.
Sure.
His wasn't waiting years. It was a couple of months. Like
Yeah.
I think he held it for 2 or 3 months where it didn't really move. And he was like, oh, he was uncertain about what would happen. But this is the society we're living in. And they're so dumb that they don't even know the exit either.
Except the problem is, I've talked about it on this show, the circle, right? Where anything is circular. You get so masculine, you lift so many weights and get so ripped that you basically become feminine, right? In terms of how, like, your fastidiousness, care, self-care,
Yes, exactly.
all this kind
You're
of stuff.
so obsessed about vanity.
Totally.
Yeah.
You are so dumb in your investment strategy that you back right into being smart.
Well, it's working for him thus far.
Yeah,
We'll
that's what
see
I'm
what
saying.
happens.
That's what I'm
Let
saying.
Doge play out.
It ain't gonna drop down to below 4 cents. It's not gonna crumble entirely, I don't think. And it's not
Easily could.
how. I think there's enough people now where it could go down to 20 cents. And now, maybe but still you're up what? 4, if you bought in at 4, you're up to 20 cents. That's a
huge
fine return on investment.
You look at your whatever Charles Schwab account or whatever, the
Yeah.
thing doesn't really move.
Yeah.
By comparison, like if you're looking for that dopamine hit, you go and you look at your Charles Schwab and you're like, lame.
Well,
and then you open up your coin app and you're just like, oh my gosh, so exciting. No, terrible. Oh my gosh.
Did you see yesterday Bitcoin dove and rebounded 30% in one day? And so it went down 30% and then back up. So imagine you're really on it, bought the dip in one day. You bought the 30% dip and then we're up 30% at the end of the day.
I mean, if your position is large enough, that's enough to buy a home, sell. Like
if you bought the dip
the
at
market
30 down and sold out at the end of the day at 30 up, who can make 30% in a day?
If you look at the market cap on Bitcoin, it's fluctuating more in a day than the entire value of FedEx as a company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like crazy, well-established companies. These things used to take 50 years to happen. They're now happening in a day.
So much fun. That's
because it's all a joke.
The problem is Kelly Slater.
I know. Okay. So
Are we
really
gonna pivot back to Kelly?
Not yet. Not yet. Because I do want to do some due diligence real quickly. So shout out to Album Surfboards. Thank you for hosting us.
Fine place. Father's Day's coming up. Come on in. Get your dad a
that's
surfboard.
right.
Come on in. I think it's like 3 weeks out.
Shoot.
Get your
These
dad
things happen quick.
a leather jacket, some sand. They have everything.
Slides.
Yeah, leather slides. They got everything that the dad wants.
This is
at
a
Album
total
Surfboards. Yeah.
dad, like
Cool dad.
Yeah.
Make sure your dad's a cool dad first. Or buy for
You
your
can make
cool
him
dad
cool.
friend. Yeah.
You can make him cool.
Nothing's worse than a dad who's not cool in cool clothes.
So he's wearing the Album leather jacket, but he has Skechers on.
New Balance. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Skechers worse. You're right. Yeah.
New Balance has a wide range of shoes.
Yeah.
They have cool shoes, and then they have the dad white ones, you know, that you mow the lawn in. Skechers, it's more kind of
All
limited.
the way.
Yeah, it's more. They have a more limited range of product.
Can't wait till Skechers sponsor the show.
And we also, speaking of Father's Day gifts, we have merch in the surfsplendorpodcast.com/shop store.
Get your dad some grit.
Yeah, grit tees, grit hats, make Chaz Grit Again hat. So go get that. We also have the subscription platform set up, which we do not accept cryptocurrency on, but as a thank you for those who subscribe, we're giving away a surfboard this month. You know what else we're going to do next week?
The skate.
Finally getting around to giving away
The finest
shred.
skateboard on Earth. It looks, based on the wheel, it looks like you took it for a spin.
I did take it for a spin.
Was it totally fun?
It is incredible.
Yeah.
It is incredible. The truck's it's a little bit loose for my liking, to be honest. I'm a little bit scared on it, but it's super fast, smooth, incredible construction in terms of quality. But the real thing that I need to tell you about is it's called Shred Skate Co. because it's made from shred, from surfboard shred. So if this deck looks like familiar, like fiberglass and resin, it is actually made from used, recycled, everything that came out of surfboard manufacturing, recycled into this skateboard deck. So the guy Marcelo, who makes them or who conceived of them, worked at Hayden Shapes, Lost Surfboards, Pure Glass. I think he actually currently works at Earth Technologies, E-Tech, which is Ryan Harris's surfboard brand. And so Ryan runs that zero waste surfboard factory. And previously they were taking the shred and making little coasters and knick-knacky things with it. And they realized there's probably a better way to kind of, or a better product they can make. And so Marcelo had been conceiving of this concept for a while. And so they're using E-Tech's waste to make shred skates. And we're going to give one away. So I'm going to post it on Instagram. Follow Shred Skate and tag 3 people on their side on their post.
How are you going to, does the winner have to subscribe?
Yes. So the winner, they're going to pick a winner. And if you are a subscriber who tagged 3 of your friends in their post, they're going to pick one of those people and we're going to announce them next week on this show.
Fantastic.
So yes, the one qualifier is you have to be a subscriber of our network, supporting us for $5 a month.
Surfboards, skateboards, merch.
Dude, we're giving away, this skateboard is valued at $300, $300 and more. I think it's actually $395, but they have lesser models. It is no small value. It is an amazing skateboard, the highest quality.
What else could a father want?
Exactly. And the surfboard we're giving away is valued at $1,000. We're doing that on June 1st.
Was that surfboard in your car?
No, that's a new one.
Okay.
I get lots of surfboards nowadays.
Sweet.
I can't talk about the one in the car yet.
Okay.
Because that'll come in a couple of months.
Great.
But yes, we will be giving that one away too. So anyways, if you aren't already a subscriber, you can still get in. So subscribe today while you're hearing this. That'll validate your entry. And then go ahead and follow Shred Skate and tag 3 of your friends. Boom. Simple as that.
Done.
And that will tie into some of this crypto conversation and everything, just in terms of keep it all independent. Let's keep media independent. You subscribing here and supporting our work gives us incredible freedom and latitude to have the conversations that we want to have. I can't overstate that. It's enough to say behind the scenes, me trying to work with sponsors all the time, it is a headache. Yep. It is a lot of work. It is so much legwork for things that ultimately never come together.
And inevitably change the conversation, right?
Completely.
Like if you're in with this brand or this person or this thing or that thing,
inevitably,
then, and you're always stepping on toes, always making people vaguely frustrated. And I know that game.
And even if it's unintentional, you and I will be having a conversation and I start in the back of my head thinking about, which direction? Yeah, exactly. And back to the thought of just wasting time on deals that never come together. That's all time that could be put into content creation.
Yep.
Could be put into Instagram memes. I've been working on my surf meme game this week.
Your surf meme game has been solid this week.
Thank you.
I've gotten a couple chuckles
out
of the surf splendor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's something, my heart has been there for years.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the time for it. And I found myself Saturday morning. I went to the gym. I told you I went to the gym.
Yep.
And
You're a gym rat now.
And now I had all this energy. So I get back home and I'm on the sofa and I'm like, why am I so fueled with energy?
The gym.
And where do I put this energy?
Memes.
Meme Lord.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. What else did I have for you to discuss? Matt Warshaw last week was fun.
So great. It's always good to hear Matt's voice.
He's fun. Matt Biolus got that cease and desist that we talked about last week.
Sure did.
Removed. The WSL has removed it.
Oh, so he gets to post now.
He is now allowed to post.
It's funny. I posted 2 WSL clips, not thinking even about Biolus, but I posted Professor Lenny, and I posted, there was one other one. What else did I post? There was 2 things that, Jordy Smith giving birth to water birth to Wade Carmichael.
Amazing clips.
I mean, such amazing clips. And I wasn't thinking about it. Wasn't thinking about Biolus. Just thought this is funny. Posted both of them. Had people cease and desist, et cetera, in the comments. And I was like, oh, do they dare? Do they dare? Right. Because they'll know it's a story.
Totally.
And like if they on these, even stinking Jordy Smith commented on the water birth photo. Like,
did he?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Like laughing. He said, because I didn't say water birth or something. On the post, it was Jordy who said, I gave birth to Wade Carmichael. Haha. Something like that. Yeah. So all funny, their surfer commenting on it, et cetera, et cetera. And so I was thinking, ooh, obviously it's me. If they send a cease and desist, Biolus was one story, or maybe even 2 stories we got out of that. This will be a solid 10-story run of, WSL cease and desist.
Totally.
Gate.
Totally.
But nothing.
And once everybody comments on there saying, like acknowledging what's going on, if they then send the cease and desist, everybody's engaged in the conversation.
But I was thinking for sure they have to now. They've set the precedent with Biolus. There's no way, this is really what they're thinking about. They need to do this in order to monetize, these little clips or whatever. So I was waiting and just cricket. And then I thought, okay, they're mailing it. But no, haven't got one. And now I know why.
Yeah. So I did not talk to Biolus, but he posted a story, an Instagram story, and it said exactly that. It was like, hey, I've been told by the WSL I'm now allowed to go ahead and repost their content with no issue. So expect to see more clips of Griffin Colapinto or whatever he said.
What a weird PR disaster. Like if you're going to...
that shows how lack of the vision and the focus that we were talking about.
I mean, if you're going to take the PR hit though, they already took the PR hit, right? That's not going to go away by Matt now posting. It just makes them look weak and caving under pressure. They should have obviously never done it in the first place. I mean, and maybe that's what they did. Maybe they did it and they said, no, we're holding to our guns. We're going to keep everybody in line. But then realized how they would be sending cease and desists nonstop.
Exactly.
Because, like it would be weird. They would have to have a whole department based on Instagram enforcement of WSL clips.
This move only validates what we've been saying for a long time.
Rudderless.
It's really kind of wild.
Yeah.
And the thing that I didn't think about on air when we were discussing it last week is they repost other people's content all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about 8 months ago and they implemented a new policy. I'm talking, I went back 1 week, less than a week.
And they're reposting.
And it was reposted stuff from other people.
Yeah.
And I guarantee they didn't pay those people.
For sure.
It's just like, how insane, how hypocritical, like how, it's ridiculous.
But I can't imagine, again, nobody talks to anyone there. That's the problem, I think, is that everybody works in their own silo. And so the that went to legal took care of it, where legal should have called in a PR person and said, hey, how will this play, right? Or a PR person should have been aware of it and said, hey, maybe not, like Biolus is, one of the bigger shapes for tons of riders on tour. Let's maybe rethink that, with a $2 he's not going to pay is going to be a bigger PR nightmare than it's worth.
Totally. So that's good news. Caio Abelli completely failed us last night.
The people.
He failed the people.
I'm going to take the blame on myself. I was in bed with the phone, struggling through Rotnest, I'll be honest. Rotnest is putting me to stinking sleep.
This is a total conversation.
Yeah,
I'm feeling it too.
There's something off about it. I don't know if the island is cursed. I don't know if
it's going a bit far.
If the WSL let's just say there's some issues. There's some issues on the island.
I don't think it has anything to do with Rotnest.
Does it?
Itself.
Are you sure?
I think it's to do with the...
Do you remember when Greg Brady went to Hawaii to surf and wore that tiki around his neck?
Oh.
A lot of bad stuff started happening.
Oh.
I'm just saying Rotnest has a history here, a dark past that the WSL tried to address by bringing Professor Lenny, was it Collard?
I forget his name.
Collard, something. Lenny. We'll just call him Professor Lenny. Tried to address it. Professor Lenny went there. Joe Turpel did not go there. And so maybe their performative activism is coming back to bite them, i.e. haunt them with a event that just feels weird. So there I was in bed. I'd watched as much as I could of it. I've watched more of the Rotnest than others. And I was struggling.
Yeah.
Kaio in the water against Pupo. I saw Pupo put up a kind of good score, and I turned it off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, I can't do anymore. I need to do this. This is, for all intents and purposes, this is my job right now. Turned on the crown, got happy.
Well, let me tell you how it ended. Kaio fell apart at the seams. This wasn't, first of all, Miguel was having a banner heat.
I mean,
this was Miguel's best performance of the year.
Miguel's having a sort of a banner year in terms of tour, in terms of his performance.
Is he even on tour, or is he like a replacement?
I think he is. I think he's on.
Okay.
He came out of the gate hot as a rook back in the day.
Way back in the day.
But I feel like, didn't he do well also at Margaret?
I don't remember him doing well at Margaret.
He's definitely done well all contests at Rotnest.
This is his best heat that I've seen him surf this season from memory. Like, he came out of the gates, that first wave.
Blazing.
And I honestly, the volume was down initially, and I saw him surf the first wave, and I was like, oh, the one you're probably talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
But it was only like a 4-point ride.
Sure, it wasn't that
And I was
great.
like, wow, I think he might have got underscored. But then each wave he got, I think he ended up with like a 7 and an 8. But my disappointment in Kaio here is he still could have won that heat. He lost it mentally.
Yeah.
You watched him collapse mentally. It was like he picked a crappy wave, and then he got a good wave that was a short ride, and he had 2 sick backside turns. And I thought, okay, cool, he's fighting back. And from that was all that he ended up getting. And he mentally just kind of, I think Miguel got another big score after that. And so then Kaio, it was just a loss. And he went for some lame backside, like blow tail that you could tell was half hardened. It was a crappy section. Shouldn't have done that. And it's like, he's giving up. He's literally giving up. And there's still 15 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
Kaio, like, shake it off. Get back in the game. You can do this. You've done this against Kelly. You've done this against John, and you've taken them out. You know, like, what's happening?
Maybe Kaio needs a marquee name to go against in order to really bring his A game.
Maybe.
Or maybe Rotnest has a problem.
So he is infected by the curse.
That's what I'm saying. The whole thing. We all are.
Then how did Miguel not get infected?
Well, Miguel's on, some people are immune to the curse, a lot like COVID. Yeah. He didn't get infected. It was just bounced off that happy face.
Yeah. I feel like Kaio had so much mojo. He should have been immune as well.
You never know, man. You never know. But
you don't know the way these things work.
You don't.
Well, so as our relationship with Kaio stands, I'm still standing behind him.
Sure.
And here's the reason. I've been more invested in these events because of this relationship that we fostered. And you're talking about being bored with Rotnest. I'm honestly kind of bored with the whole thing. Like, I'm forcing myself to watch it because of the job aspect, but I'm not getting nearly the amount of pleasure out of it that I used to.
I'll say, and again, I know we get in trouble, deservedly so, for just whinging nonstop about stuff. I think part of the problem is the curse. The other part is the 4 stops in Australia was just a bit too much. The waves.
I thought we wanted more, and it turns out we don't.
And you don't want more of very similar, right? Like, let's be honest, Narrabeen, Newcastle, and Rotnest are all, of course, they're different waves, but very similar in terms of how they're being surfed, right? It's like a couple bashes to like kind of an end section finishing thing. Even Margaret for that, Margaret was a lot bigger and stuff, so was different, but the way they're being surfed is very similar.
Yeah. And
so we've seen these guys now 4 events in a row, and girls, 4 events in a row do more or less the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's no, like, that's what made the tour fun, is that it would move locations, right? Or even in Australia, even when they had 3 in Australia, right? Would go from Snapper to Bells to Margaret, which were, and especially when Bells would surf at Winky, they were 3 distinct kind of flavorful waves this whole Australian leg, Newcastle or Narrabeen, Newcastle, and Rotnest, while it looks distinctive, it's just like
it's a lot of the same surfing. It's a lot of
the
waist
same
to
surfing.
chest high surfing.
Yep.
And manufacturing your own speed to
Yep.
do a couple of mediocre maneuvers for a sixes. It's a battle of sixes, essentially.
And I feel too that the broadcasting team, there was no lower they could go. I feel they found a level of what I think Long Tom called it syrupy something. I can't remember exactly, but they found some level of like syrup that's over the whole thing. That's just like awful. I mean, Ron Blakey is right there with Joe Turpel now, I feel, in terms of unlistenable. Like Ron and what's his buddy's name? Richie?
Yeah, Richie Lovett.
Yeah. An unlistenable duo.
I like Richie. He's fresh to me. And Rabbit's fresh to me as well.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. There's not enough to talk about. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
And I haven't even like analyzed my malaise or why it exists. Everything that you're saying is definitely part of it.
Because when they're even going to, much as I hate to say it, Lemoore, it'll look different and feel different and maybe fun for a couple heats again.
Nah.
You don't think so?
So over Lemoore as a competitive destination?
After the Australian leg.
You're right. It'll be different.
Yeah.
But we know exactly what they're going to do on that wave.
Where can you just hear that train in your mind right now?
I'll just tell you who the top 5 are going to be in that event.
Philippe. But look at Philippe falling apart at Rotto.
I know.
Philippe falling apart to Liam O'Brien.
I know. Great surfing from Liam O'Brien.
Great surfing from Liam O'Brien, but this was a wave handcrafted for Philippe Toledo, which makes me wonder, Philippe, I thought Philippe for sure. Getting into trestles, 4 or 5, take out whoever. The way he surfed yesterday made me think, oh, wait, no, he's going to end up third. He will get smashed by both Medina and Idolo surfing like he did yesterday.
That's the problem. That's what separates world champs, basically, from everybody else, is that steely mindedness. Yeah. It's like everybody was surfing so mediocrely at Rotnest the first day. It was a difficult wave to figure out. And people, it was so crowded in free surfs that people didn't get an opportunity to figure it out in a free surf.
Kanoa was really talking about whinging, whinging about that in his first heat interview.
Totally.
And I was thinking, really? Like, I get that it's crowded, all the pros are there, and whatever, like everybody's packed onto that one wave. But if you can't go fight for your wave out there, what are you doing? Like, you're a professional surfer on tour. If you can't go out position, out angle, but I mean, what? I can't do that because I'm not good, right? Like, you're good. How come you cannot? And there's no, I mean, maybe there's a heavy local scene there too.
I don't think so. I think,
yeah, if it was just the visiting surfers in there, then you're as much blowing as everyone. Go get your waves.
Well, that is what separates the world champs, because I guarantee you Gabriel got waves that morning.
Gabriel was for sure dropping in on any wave he wanted.
Because he doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
And so that is what separates. And so you look at,
did Kanoa's equal 30?
No, he made it.
Oh, is?
He's still in it.
Okay.
Yeah. And you look at Felipe's performance at Margaret and you go, wow, that guy's unstoppable. Look how great he's surfing.
Fell apart.
He is unstoppable in terms of talent, but he's not in terms of steely mindedness. And so, but yeah, you look at the wave pool's coming up. Surf Ranch is the next event. Do we need to run a 3.5 days worth of surfing contest to end up with the people that I'm going to tell you right now are going to be in that final? Gabriel Medina, Idolo, Felipe, Griffin Colapinto, and maybe it'll be the fifth spot, maybe okay, but we don't need 3.5 days to figure out who that fifth surfer, whether it's going to be Morgan Sibilik, maybe?
I don't know.
Kanoa Igarashi, maybe?
With the wave pool the way it is, I mean, obviously a unique thing. I don't know why they have to run the heat whole thing the same way that they do in the ocean, right? Why not just have like single elimination or I mean, they could change the whole.
They have changed it, haven't they? In the past, I think they did.
I think when they did the Surf Ranch Pro, or it wasn't Surf Ranch Pro, when they did like the sort of test event, that had a new format.
Future Classic. Maybe.
Yeah. That had a different format, but I think now it's just standard format. It's like everybody serve. I mean, in terms of, they each get whatever it is, one left and one right.
Yeah, but
that's different. But
I could be wrong. I think that one left and one right go into your score, your final score.
Yes. I mean, that's
so
different.
in the ocean.
That's different. But in terms of, I think it's the same way though, still that they have the seeding round, then they have whatever, then they have, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did change entirely, but
I don't know either. But either way, it's all to say that these events, looking at them coming up, they feel like a burden to watch at this point. For me personally, I feel like it's part of my workload now. I used to really enjoy like, oh man, I can't wait till that's on because I'm going to be watching pipe while I'm working throughout the day. Now it feels like, I have to pay attention to this thing to make sure I have all the updates.
Well, imagine the run here though, too. We've had 4, and let's be charitable and call them less than amazing. There was some amazing days, but...
Well, Margaret had a couple.
Yeah, Margaret had a couple amazing days, but let's say less than stellar days, going to Surf Ranch, which is certainly less than stellar, and then on to Tokyo, which will be, as quoted in Reuters today, small and funky waves. So it's really a run of bad surf. Has been for a long time, will be as far as the eye can see.
Well, in hindsight, it'll all be chalked up to it was coming out of COVID
year.
And give us some grace.
Yeah.
Which I think is an understandable position to take, but it doesn't factor in the fact that we could have been running boat trips in Indonesia right now.
Do you think
if we would have done it?
So the bit of insight I have from World Surf League HQ in Santa Monica is they feel like we moved mountains and made a miracle, and this Australian leg has basically been a miracle. Like
that's a PR spin.
Yeah, but do you think if they were real honest, would they look back and say, why did we push so hard for 4? I mean, I know now essentially in Australia they are tourism board advertisements, right? Come visit blank is why you have a tour, why you have a stop there. So it's not about interesting viewing or anything else, but purely from a interesting viewing, you'd think they would look back and say, we should have just done 3. Like 4 was a bit much.
No, I think they can justify the decision that they made, and it'll all look good kind of in hindsight, but it's not acknowledging a couple of key moments where the reason why Sunset did not run is because WSL staff, including the CEO, got COVID at Pipeline, and they had to close that event, and they canceled all future events. They would not have canceled those future events if that COVID contraction and spread did not happen.
Yep.
Right?
Sure.
So they shot themselves in the foot, created their own cancellation for the future events, which again, you can't blame somebody for catching COVID. I'm not blaming them for catching COVID. I'm just, at the time, the decision to go to Pipe was very questionable. It was a dubious proposition from the get-go. And they rolled the dice and ended up having to cancel some of the events because of the risky choice.
I mean, I don't even think the choice was that risky. I think the way they, look, and I suppose everything, again, you said it, hindsight 2020, but when you're running a bubble thing, you run it as lean as possible. And the people who got COVID were entirely tangential and did not need to be there.
I don't know who else got COVID other than the CEO.
I know who the first Typhoid Mary was.
You have a rumor of who it is.
I know. I have fact.
Okay.
Ain't gonna tell it.
Yeah, no, it's not right.
Taking this one to the grave, but it is funny.
I also don't. Yeah, no.
That person didn't need to be there either, though.
So, okay. So the only reason we're running in marginal surf is because of that inciting incident, and that'll never come out of HQ, obviously. And there's nobody in the surf world who has any incentive to actually say that.
Uncle Lenny does.
Other than us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, because we're funded partially by subscription dollars. Thank you. So I think there's a lot of, if there was a different end goal in mind, other than just appealing to the broadest possible market, blah, 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 then we could have been running a leaner, tour, not just in terms of support staff, but 10 surfers on a boat trip in Kandui instead of running 32 surfers plus at beach breaks for 4 months.
Derek Riley in the comment live yesterday during the contest got in, said he was sleeping, and then, popped in like, I don't know, I was almost out at that point. It was like later night, and said something like, I can't believe that we were still, it feels like we've been watching this for days and we're in the round of 32. And not only does it feel like we actually were like hours. I mean, I watched again, I guess we didn't talk about it. But the first day of Rotnest, I had it on all day. I think I watched 7 of the 9 hours, really watching it too, like actually sitting there and, doing other stuff, but sitting with the computer on in front of me watching, and felt exhausted after. I was like,
yeah,
oof, that is a lot of surfing to watch.
And what do you have to say after it? Can you remember a highlight?
No.
Was there anything dramatic that happened?
I remember, the live comments on Beach Grit are super fun. Like, so it's fun, which is what kept me sitting there kind of, is, you're in this conversation with friends is how it feels. But afterwards I just felt drained and thought, well, that was a friggin' waste.
Yeah. Well, I find myself checking out, and the main part of kind of engagement for me was the Kiowa Belly thing.
Yeah.
And I look back to it like 2020 when there was no professional surfing, and things that we were talking about on this show, like stories that we were covering or themes that we're developing on the show. And it was because we made it fun. You know what I mean? Like whatever we kind of choose to invest our time and energy into, we can make it fun. And so I'm realizing, gosh, we've devoted a bunch of time to discussing the WSL.
Do we not need the tour anymore? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, we don't. And the only reason that it had value is because we are creating these themes and isolating these like, oh, this could be fun if we talk about this. And then now I'm invested to follow that storyline for next week. But just on its face, it's freaking not that exciting to watch. It's actually really, really boring to watch.
Well, especially I think this year too, like with John gone, with, Kelly. Kelly never goes through obviously, but with him in the water, I think it's still fun, like to turn on and see Kelly. Like there's very limited reason to watch right now. And you just know the Brazilians are going to crush. Like I feel the Liam O'Brien story is pretty fun.
For a moment.
Sibilik is fun.
That was great.
Yeah. But it's not enough to like really think, oh, like looking at the heat draw, there's not one except for Kyle, where I think I got to watch this one.
Yeah.
But Kyle let us all down.
Because we manufactured that
Sure.
too. We didn't manufacture it, but we were acknowledging his theme. Yeah, exactly.
It was great. Moving forward with the Kyle, I think like wrapping the project to belly, right? We don't have to wrap it, but in terms of it was for, we got him, we got the sticker on the board, we did it. Always proof of concept for me, right? Let's see if we can, as a community, do something.
Well, I think the bigger picture thing, I would love to be able to implement this in 2022.
Yeah.
It will take this much time from now until then to really build it. But what I would love to implement for 2022 is a stock market scenario.
Yes.
Where at the beginning of this, where we create a platform, people can throw some money in, and the amount that a surfer costs to buy their stock is dictated by the market's own kind of by market factors that maybe you and I we're certainly not dictating it, and maybe we're not even privy to.
No, it'd have to be a double blind thing.
We're not dictating. It's all based on people's own transactions.
Yeah.
So maybe for whatever reason, somebody identified that Liam O'Brien was going to, be a good bet. So they bought him for super cheap, and then yesterday he beats Felipe, and all of a sudden now people want his stock, and they're going to pay triple what it was yesterday.
The problem is that what does somebody get for owning Liam O'Brien's stock? Like if you bet,
I think you put real money in,
sure,
and you can take real money out.
Yeah.
So they bought him for 50 cents, and then today he's worth $5, and there's another user on the platform that wants to buy him for $5, and if the one who owns him for 50 cents says, "Sure, I'll give it to you, and I'll take $4.50 off the table. I'll put that into Gabriel Medina." Like, we can build out this platform.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's as fun and as serious as Doge.
Well,
which look at Doge.
It makes
billions of dollars.
The fantasy surfer concept is fun, except I think this is an extension of that that's a little bit more robust and more engaging and actually has like, you can actually profit from it, you know? And it would, again, keep me interested in the events a lot more. So we'll try to conceive of that or actually manufacture it. Another comment on Rotnest is just Taj Burrow lost pathetically. We love Taj. This is not a slam on Taj, but Mick did the same exact thing at Newcastle. Or was he at Newcastle or Narrabeen?
I think Narrabeen.
Okay, right. And so, look, I don't know that the strategy of incorporating those old timers.
And if you want to, though, like I think there is maybe not a huge appetite, but some sort of appetite for a Masters division.
Yes,
like
that's fine.
If there was, if Taj and Mick and Joel and these guys all kind of wanted to, they've been off tour now and thinking, what am I doing? I'm buying and selling beer brands, and that's fine enough. But I sure would love to surf a couple heats somewhere. We could have sticking 3 events a year, Masters.
I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, wouldn't have to be a whole tour, just like...
Those guys never even showed the interest in trying to compete with the Gabriel Medinas of the world.
What did Taj say at the end of his, I think...
Something about not...
Long Tom wrote it.
Something about not wanting to compete.
Yeah, hating competing.
Yeah.
Or that reminded him how much he hated it or something, which is, well, what did you think? Why did you do it then? I mean, clearly, I'm sure... the tour is conflated in these guys' minds with that was the best time of my life. When you're Taj Burrow looking back on your life, you think, oh, those tour years were great. You're not, you think, I'm sure about some of the funner heats you had where it was just you and one other dude surfing pristine waves. And you think about all the, fun conversations and blah, blah, blah. Then you get pitched out at Rotnest where the surf's not good. All your buddies aren't there anymore. And it's got to feel like tarnish even the memories that you had.
Does it?
I'm sure it doesn't really, but I'm sure when he's in it, I'm sure Taj was thinking, could not get out of there fast enough.
Yeah.
I'm sure he thought
I agree. Yeah.
I'm surfing waves I don't want to surf, waves I wouldn't surf. If this was back home,
that's the problem.
I wouldn't paddle out in front of everyone, feeling your own failure, knowing you're failing in front of everyone.
Who would have been a fantastic pick, especially at Narrabeen?
Matt Archbold.
Close. Nathan Hedge.
Oh yeah.
somebody, a listener commented on that. They're like, the guy is fitter than he's ever been. He's frothing hard, and he was always a frother. And it's like, you're right. That would have been a great pick. It would have been a far better pick. He would have done more in the event too.
I think I'm all for a Masters division. I'm also all for throwing random old dudes in with the new crop at waves where, they're not super high performance. But Taj was never going to be the guy who was going to actually go out and fight.
No, especially in mediocre surf. And that was the problem for Mick too, to be honest.
And Taj he brought shame upon the Burrow's name for his performance, especially the first day where he just sat and then he stood up on one wave and it was a 0.7. Which he should have, at the point where he never went, he should have not gone. He should have just said, I made a mistake coming here. I'm going to literally sit this entire heat out and I'll sit my next one out too. Yeah. Just because I forgot that I don't like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Enough on Rotnest as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah. See the curse has infected this podcast where we blathered on about something not really worth talking about and that we're just rehashing the same opinions we've said a million times always
before.
Forever. No, I'm telling you, there's a curse to Rotnest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
It's beautiful.
I watched it and I'm
like,
place. I'm planning my next vacation.
Yeah. I'm just saying
the whole time.
Something off that is infected.
I've got a couple of listener emails, but should we do the Kelly's investing advice?
Let's do Kelly real quick.
So Kelly took to Instagram with a very opinionated stance on Bitcoin and Elon Musk himself.
Savaging Elon Musk.
He says Elon Musk and Tesla Motors proudly bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin for around $34,000 in February. Elon comes out this week and says Bitcoin mining is bad for the environment, and they dump their Bitcoin for an estimated $800 million in profit, but he's still pushing Dogecoin, by the way, which is a completely worthless coin. So Elon owns an energy company, but he doesn't understand this stuff before he buys in. He has no problem taking the profits. Does he have an issue with kids mining cobalt in the Democratic Republic of Congo to build batteries? He could probably address and potentially help solve the real energy issues. But it seems the bigger issue for me is that it wouldn't solve any of the Bitcoin problems. I think Elon's board and backers hate crypto and what it's doing to the average investor, and they're pressuring him to put out a statement which they knew would inevitably tank Bitcoin. I hope the SEC is taking a look into all of this, and all of those who might be buying Bitcoin today and later in their private accounts. Interesting times, but Elon is bad for crypto.
This is peak Kelly in terms of lack of self-awareness, straight up hypocrisy, and ignorance. That is the triumvirate that makes peak Kelly.
Which part is ignorant and which one is hypocritical? So
the hypocrisy is, of course, getting after someone for any kind of environmental, stance, like where he's saying Elon is against Bitcoin because it is bad for the environment, while mining, having kids mine cobalt for his batteries. Kelly Slater is building energy sucking wave pools and fully greenwashing it, right? Kelly is calling somebody's hypocrisy as it relates to the environment is not Kelly Slater's place. He is, again, called him once, called him twice. It's what got me canceled by Kelly Slater. The most environmentally damaging person on earth, Kelly Slater. So that's the hypocrisy. The lack of self-awareness is... What's the first part is a lack of self-awareness. What does he say at the start again?
Let me pull it up.
The ignorance is that, asking the SEC to look into this, cryptocurrencies are unregulated marketplaces. Unregulated means not regulated, which means things like the Security and Exchange Commission can't just come in and start looking at it because it's unregulated, Kelly.
First of all, here's a great comment from BeachGit. Kelly went from the citizen of the world to a denizen of the internet, and not very gracefully.
My goodness.
So I do love that Kelly
it's the best.
Is impassioned about flat earthers and all of this
Peak
stuff.
Kelly is all these, it's
fantastic.
I say them as their negatives. They're all totally positive. When Kelly mixes lack of self-awareness, hypocrisy, and ignorance in his magic cooking pot, it's beautiful what comes out.
What I found as maybe hypocritical, but also just funny is you and I will talk crap about Kelly without really knowing, obviously, what's going on behind his scenes.
Yeah.
And so he'll block you or whatever. And I'm sure, is not a huge fan of any of the things that we say, but he's doing the exact same thing to Elon Musk.
He has no idea.
What I mean? It's hey, whoever these people are that we're just focused on every day and venerating in certain ways and then studying and criticizing in other ways. How could you get mad at your fan/critics doing it to you and canceling them and blocking them when you're doing the exact same thing to Elon Musk? And by the way, Kelly, everything that you just stated there as, man, I'm really disgruntled about this, I'm indignant about Elon's behavior, is so obvious. Elon is doing this purposefully. Yeah. Of course, he is fluctuating the market for his own profit and gain and benefit. It's clear as day.
So when Kelly first posted that, Derek wrote very funnily about it. I read it and thought, what's Kelly? Kelly for sure has a position here. What's Kelly's position? I felt that it was Kelly bought a bunch of Bitcoin. Kelly bought a bunch of Bitcoin and now he's pissed, right? Because he feels like he got outflanked by a bigger celebrity than himself. So then the next day, I thought, okay, I got to figure out, because Kelly's going to back this up. So I have other ways to get into Kelly Slater's account. So I was in another way on Kelly Slater's account, checking his stories. There it was. Had a meme of some Indian Muslim boy high on a perch smoking a cigarette, while a bunch of people were milling down below, other Indian Muslims. And he pulled the meme from somewhere, and it was like diamond hand Bitcoin holders looking down at paper-handed MRFers or something like that. Yeah. And so I thought, so I had to Google diamond hand. Okay, those who bought Bitcoin and aren't selling, like our long-termers, like
long-term Bitcoin investors,
like our Dogecoin friend. He would be a diamond-handed Dogecoin investor, paper-handed. Of course, the ones who are in and out, don't like the instability, et cetera, et cetera. So then I thought, aha, here we go. Kelly was initially mad that his portfolio just got wiped out.
Right.
Now had a minute to breathe, and now he thinks, I'm so cool. I'm a tough guy. Like, you can't shake me from my Bitcoin position. I'm a diamond-handed Bitcoin holder.
That meme did indicate, obviously, the position that he has, but him trying to counter Elon's influence by taking to Instagram to influence the market, he's not going to counter Elon's influence, period. And what he should be doing is just buying into Elon's manipulation. Like when Elon tanks the stock, buy the dip. Exactly. Because it's very evident that that's what Elon is doing.
I posted the funniest buy the dip. Did you watch the buy the dip video that I posted?
I made it halfway through it.
It's I think it's very funny. It's a buy the dip. But at the end, which I think is what Kelly is doing, that video is probably where Kelly's entire investment strategy and his whole life came from, which is the whole thing is you buy the dip, you buy the dip, you buy the dip. And the person it's just computerized voices, one guy telling another person to buy the dip and the other person saying, but what about these factors? And he just keeps saying, you don't understand what I'm saying, buy the effing dip, et cetera, et cetera. And then the person finally says, oh, I get what you're saying. You buy the dip. And he says, and the other guy's like, yes, the only thing you have to do once you buy the dip is tell all your friends and family to buy the dip, because then the price will go back up and then you make money off them. To say that's what Kelly is trying to do now. So Kelly got mad about Elon. Instead, Kelly should have just said to his followers, hey guys, let's buy the dip. This is a great opportunity to buy the dip. Kelly, in his lack of self-aware, hypocritical, ignorant way, just savaged Elon instead of saying what he should have said to his followers is, what an opportunity we have, guys. Bitcoin's going down. Get in now. Get in now. And
totally.
It's funny. A friend of Kelly DM'd me and said something about he was with Kelly not that long ago, and Kelly was just all over crypto, telling him to buy. So I bet Kelly bought, no, he probably didn't buy in at the height of the market, but I bet Kelly bought in pretty high. If he's mad about Bitcoin tanking, whatever it tanked, losing 30% of its value, means that Kelly bought in within the last year max.
Yeah, if you're worried about the 30%.
You've bought in a year max.
Yeah. Exactly. What I love about all of this is, and this relates, by the way, to Warshaw last week as well, who I love, and I don't criticize in any way. This is not meant to sound critical, but he's vilifying Elon on air, right? And I'm like, well, how do you feel about Bezos?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, his wife works for Amazon, so he can't say anything bad about Bezos. But ultimately, whether it's Warshaw or Kelly, you guys are really tethered to these fractional gains. Like, it's not like Warshaw's wife makes him $5 million a year, or Kelly's going to make, well, maybe his investment is larger, but it's like these billionaires are fully manipulating you guys who are middle management, thinking and like assigning and ascribing your life's value and ideology to this conglomerate who's making billions of dollars off of you.
Yeah.
It's like when Trump was in office and people are supporting him because they're like, oh, I get $80 more in my paycheck every other week. It's like $80? And you're going to like write off all of your ideology that you grew up with for $80 a week? Like, what is it? It's not worth it. By the way, they're chipping you a little dime so that they can make billions of dollars. Like, it's insane. You're suckling at the teat. You're just suckling at the teat for a fractional gain in the market. Like, it's crazy to me. And so, I laugh at what Elon says and does. And like, I do have some investments that are affected by what he says and does, but it's more just comedy to me. Like, I don't care if he says something that tanks the stock. I don't care because I'm not basing my investment strategy on what he says and does.
Well, and if Kelly,
and I want the comedy, I like the entertainment.
If Kelly, when Elon Musk said Tesla's going to take Bitcoin now as payment for cars, you know, et cetera, and started really contributed to the real rush on Bitcoin. If Kelly bought in there and then is pissed when he pulls the plug on it, if Kelly's investment strategy, if he's trying to game what Musk is going to say, then you better friggin' do your homework on the dude a bit better than that. Once he starts pumping Doge, you better be short on Bit, I feel, if you're basing stuff on Musk's point of view.
On tweets.
Real quick question. Do you think Kelly savaging Musk has more to do with Kelly's jealousy that Joe Rogan seemed to like Elon Musk better than he did Kelly Slater on the podcast?
Yes, 100%. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Kelly.
I think it's also tarnished Kelly's relationship with Shane Dorian.
Ooh.
Because Shane is loved by Rogan.
Yeah.
And Kelly's like, I've beat Shane at everything we've ever done in our lives.
Except for hunting.
Except for being friends with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Kelly doesn't care about hunting, but he cares about being friends with Joe Rogan.
That's poor Kelly.
Yeah. And now their relationship is tarnished forever.
They're never
You heard it here first.
Watch. Kelly's going to start shooting little barbs out to Jackson Dorian. Like, hey, Jackson.
Grandson, godson.
That was a really cool air for like a kid. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm loving it. I'm loving Kelly's engagement.
Best ever.
It really is good. We have a couple of listener emails we should get to.
Let's go.
I feel like this show's going to run long today. Listener email on Lickamade.
Nice.
So Rainbow from New Zealand said, I'm just catching up on Friday's show. I figured that sherbet is the rest of the world's equivalent to Lickamade brand. Are you familiar with sherbet?
Sherbet ice cream?
No.
No, what's sherbet?
This is a homemade concoction. He said, here's the recipe.
Whoa.
It's colorless jelly crystals. Just add kiwi greens for color. Flabbergasted that you didn't introduce. Oh, he's been rallying in my campaigns to make California's state greeting, fuck you, Chaz Smith.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
When I bring you on the show or introduce you on the show every week, rather than saying we're here with Chaz Smith.
Fuck you, Chaz Smith.
And he wants everybody who ever greets you to greet you that way.
I love it. You know what would happen? It would really confuse the Ashton Goggins girlfriend/wife of the world who would greet me that way too. And then I would just think they were greeting me since that's how everybody greets me.
It's the state of California greeting.
Great.
As submitted by Rainbow. So he said, I'm flabbergasted that it didn't start using my introduction. Anyways, he gives the recipe. The recipe is 1 teaspoon citric acid, 2 tablespoons of icing sugar, 3 tablespoons of jelly crystals, any flavor you like, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda.
What are jelly crystals?
I don't know.
Is this kiwi?
Yes.
But we can find theoretically jelly crystals.
In theory. There's probably a different name for it.
We need to make this. We need to make Lickamade.
These are all powdery substances, and all you do is mix them together for 5 seconds, and then you have this lickable powder.
Let's put cocaine in there too. If we're mixing, if we're making our own.
What does it do when you lick it?
Cocaine?
Yeah.
I think it just makes your mouth numb.
Okay. So thanks for that homemade Lickamade recipe straight from New Zealand. Got an email about monkey ownership.
Nice.
Said, just listen to your podcast and had to comment on owning a monkey, either as anecdote or a form of therapy for myself. 2 years ago, my wife and I moved to the Eastern Cape of South Africa to work for a not-for-profit. We were staying in a rural area surrounded by bush and dirt roads. After a long trip from the UK, we eventually settled in our 1-bedroom shack where we were now to call home. On a daily basis for the next 2 months, we spent our time either chasing monkeys out of the kitchen, bathroom, or hall, or trying to monkey-proof our house. They absolutely destroyed our kitchen, would half eat fruit and then throw it on the floor. And for some reason, they loved eating cereal out of the box. No idea why. We even woke up to 3 monkeys staring into our window, just watching us sleep.
Freaks.
I know. I did become very handy with a paintball gun at this time. I can confirm, owning a monkey, no barrel. Keep up the good work.
Fantastic to know. I mean, we both had instinct on this. Confirmed.
Cute as all hell.
Freaky.
Yeah, freaky. Watching you sleep indicates a level of freakishness
Odd.
Very odd.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Not into it. Good. Yeah. No monkeys. Okay. No monkey business.
All right. Good to know. Thanks for that, Dan. Email about vowels, etc. Said, I often enjoy listening to Chaz's rants, especially when he gets worked up and only seems to figure out what he means to say halfway through what he's saying.
Yeah, that's like every time.
Insightful. Yeah. Last week, he was talking about vowel behavior, and I found myself agreeing with him again. There's another teacher at the school that I teach at. Early in the year, she told me that she was learning to surf. A few weeks later, our school ran a profile on her on social media, and in it, she mentioned that she likes to spend her time surfing. A month later, I was walking through the staff room, and I heard her talking to someone, telling them about how she was into surfing. Weeks later, I heard her telling somebody else that she's learning to ride a surf skateboard to help her with her surfing. These are literally the only interactions that we've had since the start of the year. In every single one of them, she's talking about how she's learning to surf. Why does this make me cringe so much?
It's infuriating. It is infuriating. Does it infuriate you?
Yes, this is a really interesting topic of conversation. I didn't know, as I was reading it, but then I thought, like, man, on a global scale, I hate this too, because Lauren just presented baby shower invitations to me. She's like, hey, my mom's planning the baby shower. Which of these invitations do you like? And every one of them...
Surf related?
She wants to do a surf theme. And I go, well, I don't like any of these because they have surfboards on them. She goes, well, it's to fit the theme. And I'm like, wait, you guys are... And it's baby on board. And I'm like, you guys are doing a surf theme? Is this because I surf? She's like, duh. I'm like, what is happening?
You're not there though, right?
I'm not going, no.
Good.
But I was like offended. So yeah. This is exactly gets at the bigger kind of theme here, which is... Why would I feel cringe that you guys are celebrating my surf kind of culture?
And or this broad thing that does not belong to you in any way, shape, or form.
But my initial instinct was get rid of the surfboards on the invitations. There's no need for that.
I'll tell you.
Why are we so cringy about this?
What's this fine listener's name? Luke, you, me, anyone who has the cringe when they hear somebody talking about surfing, because if you hear somebody talking about surfing and you know they know what they're talking about, they're a grumpy local, it's cool, right? I'm going to say one part of the grumpy local DNA that's necessary is that cringe when you hear somebody who you don't feel deserves to talk about it, talking about it. Or
I don't want to talk about it. Oh, I guess we talk about it all.
That's all we do. But
in my real life, no, I don't want to be identified as.
You keep your mouth shut. You keep your mouth shut about. Surfing is like Fight Club, I feel. And
it really is.
And the crew, the real crew, who I love, and all of this is the fight. You don't talk about surfing. First rule of surfing, you don't talk about surfing. Second rule of surfing, you don't talk about surfing. If you hear somebody talking about surfing, and really, they don't because two surfers, like in Fight Club, right? Two of the guys with black eyes, if I recall, could be talking about it around the water cooler, and then they would shut up when somebody else came. Yeah. So two Fight Clubbers could talk about Fight Club together. You do not talk about Fight Club. Do not talk 100%. About Surf Club. And it is a club.
This is so amazing considering that all we do is talk about surfing.
To each other, though.
I know.
If there was some value
You're right,
here,
though. This is a perfect analogy.
I would not talk about it.
Yeah.
I would say, nope, let's talk about Doge.
We're implementing this from now on. This becomes a whole set of memes based on Fight Club.
Do not talk about surfing.
Why are we so cringy about it?
Because as grumpy and grouchy and cantankerous and negative and whiny and whingy as we are, we still love this stinking thing, right? This is the thing that we hold near and dear. And so it's the thing that hurts, as silly as that is to say. It's the thing that tenses you up when you feel it's in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
As silly as it is.
I'm only thinking about it as you're talking, so this thought may need to be developed more, but I don't want to talk about the most intimate things in my life, period. Sex is the first thing that comes to mind. I could probably come up with more palatable examples but to use, but there's no way, if you have an amazing experience, whatever it happens to be, there's no way to articulate it.
Yeah.
Because it only devalues it. You know, like any version of trying to recreate it through articulation verbally diminishes it and sells it short. And it's just like, you know what? I can't even talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Which is probably why Don't Talk About Fight Club was the first rule of Don't Talk About Fight Club, is because imagine verbally describing physical violence. Then this guy punched this guy in the nose and blood went everywhere. Like it's words often fall short.
It's an experience.
Yep.
And the experience is immersive and it's visceral and there's all this emotion tied into it. The interconnectedness between your spirit and your physicality, there's no way to verbally articulate.
And the community, like
exactly
the community that you're connected to in this random way that if you say, oh, like if I start talking about my friends on Beach Grit who I comment with, it's like, have you met them? No. Do you call them? No. Do you know anything about them other than what you guys say back and forth on an online blog?
And now it becomes silly.
It's absolutely
you answering
asinine.
all those questions makes your experience completely silly.
Yep.
And so let's just not talk about it.
Never.
And so we kind of know that if you're waking up early and you're, you know, it's freezing cold, it's December and the swell, there's tons of wind or whatever, you're going through all that effort, then you're going out there and you're getting a couple of waves to then go into work and discuss it around the water cooler with somebody who doesn't even give a crap diminishes the experience. And so if you hear somebody else talking about it and you know they're just a weekend warrior on a soft top.
Infuriating.
It's infuriating.
Yeah.
It's
Luke,
infuriating.
you're right to feel that.
Yes.
Luke needs to subtly sabotage this coworker when and where he can. Not by talking about surfing. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I like
but
it though.
He needs to think of a way to subtly sabotage her life.
Well, Fight Club did the whole mission, right? Well,
I mean, the mission was to take down credit in the world. But
I know, but there was
multiple.
Prior to that, leading up to that, they were just doing acts of violence in the community. I mean, and destruction.
One of the funny ones was remember when they put the pictures in the airplane with everybody freaking out with the plane crashing instead of everybody being calm. So yeah, Luke can
smashing headlights in cars just walking down the street indiscriminately.
Boom. Luke should go like write things on this teacher's chalkboard or something like that for the students to see, or pass out an assignment to them secretly that they need to do that is
modify her syllabus.
Yeah, exactly.
With hilarious. Yeah.
Luke, that's your job. Because
Luke, we're sending you on a mission.
Yep. Your surf club mission. We got to think of it better because it can't just be called surf club, but there's got to be something that we call this.
Yeah.
TBD.
Yeah. I'm never good at this part.
Yeah. But we'll figure it out.
But I can envision
listeners,
the bar of soap that says it.
Yeah. Listeners, I think this one goes out to listeners. What should the Fight Club version of surfing be?
Yeah. All right. Listeners are great at this.
Yep.
Luke went on to say, on a lighter note, I don't know why I have never heard anyone point out that Jack Robinson's wife, Julia Muniz, looks just like a female version of Gabriel Medina. Their faces are so similar. It's so hard to say that she is beautiful, which she is, when she looks so much like Gabriel Medina. On that topic, I find myself thinking more highly of Gabriel Medina this year. He seems so different now. Thanks for battling your way to the end of my rushed ramblings, Luke.
Love it. Love it all. I need to now go look at a side-by-side of, have you done yet?
Yeah, I did. Was it not wrong?
Are they very similar?
They are similar in a way that people from the same culture have similar bone structure, you know, that just happens through evolution. Yeah. Like genetics.
Yeah.
The way that genetics are shared within a population. But she is beautiful. So she's a supermodel. Sure. Not a supermodel, but she's a model.
Yeah.
And she's stunningly beautiful. He's not wrong. Do you want to take time to look it up?
No.
Okay. But like they could be brother and sister. He can make an argument for that. But what I think is kind of more telling,
that Gabriel Medina's stock goes up.
Yeah. Like he's starting to fall in love with Gabriel Medina because secretly, like his wording was, it is so hard to say that she is beautiful, quote, or parentheses, which she is, when she looks so much like him. I find it hard to say that she's beautiful because I think of her as Gabriel Medina. Very next sentence. On that topic, I find myself thinking more highly of Gabriel Medina this year.
Perfect.
He's getting influenced by her beauty to fall in love with a man.
I love it.
I know.
That's a beautiful surfing moment.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Speaking of Jack Robinson, what a stinking fail is Jack Robinson.
It's a disappointment. I think we all bestowed greatness upon him.
I mean, I think everybody thought he's the Australia's version of John Florence.
Yeah, I felt that way.
Yeah.
But he is in terms of being a preternatural talent of a surfer.
In big barreling waves.
But competitive surfer is an entirely different thing.
The fact
so we were wrong to kind of conflate those things like, oh, because this, then we're going to make him this.
The real truth is that John bridged that divide, especially in hindsight, is an absolute miracle. John should not have been able to do that. John's kind of laconic, go easy, really cares about surfing big waves, doesn't really seem like he would be the type of guy to care about surfing small waves, doesn't seem like the kind of guy to care about heat strategies. John won stinking 2 world titles.
Yeah.
He clearly does care. And Jack Robinson clearly might, but has not put together any form of competitive ability.
Jack has definitely, I don't know that he ever had the desire and drive to win a world title that John did.
He got straight up lucky on his heat yesterday. He deserved to have lost that one.
Is he still in the event?
I think he won it on the last,
did he really?
on the Hooter. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't think that he did.
But
I wasn't watching.
Straight up was supposed to lose or should have lost.
Yeah. Definitely not living up to his potential as a surfer or what we expected of him. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think John from a very young age was destined to be a world champ and believed it in himself.
Yeah, but the fact that he did put it together is impressive. And especially now that he has another ACL or MCL or whatever it is surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, we may have seen John's whole rise and fall, but it was a good run if that's what it was.
And yeah, it had a couple of chapters.
Yeah.
Winning on sheer talent alone, having to regroup, re-strategize, hire Ross Williams as a coach, and then come back and win based on talent and strategy.
Yep. Because
you had more formidable foes at that time. I think that is. But yeah, Jack Robinson, it's a totally different trajectory where he doesn't seem to care that much about the world title firstly, and then also just about competitive surfing. Like from a young age, I feel like he just really wanted to continue to get barreled at North Point.
Yeah.
And like traveling the world and all that, I was like, all right, I'm good enough, I'll do it. But I don't know that he had the same end goal, and that's being reflected through his heat performances now. Interesting thought that I had about Julie Muniz looking like Gabriel Medina.
Yeah.
I feel, and this was related to something you said earlier, but I'm forgetting where the tie-in is now. But anyways, like this, we're all becoming one sex, I feel. Mm-hmm. Like men are becoming...
It's backing in. Things backing in.
Like, because I looked at her face and I thought she actually has some masculine bone structure.
Sure.
She has like a really strong jawline, but it's very attractive on her, right? And then I looked at Gabriel Medina and I go, well, he's got a certain femininity to him.
Sure.
And so there is this blending of we're all becoming one sex.
Everyone asexual.
Yes.
Pronouns only, they, them.
When I was a kid, very young kid, the most masculine of males were the sex symbols, right?
Tom Selleck.
Yes. My grandma loved Tom Selleck. Sylvester Stallone in Rambo.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then within 10 years, Leonardo DiCaprio was, and Tom Hanks was, and they were so effeminate. Like it shifted to where the standard of beauty became this kind of more effeminate version of a male. And I'm not sure which societal factors influenced that.
Look at even today, like Timothée Chalamet, right? Which he
totally.
may as well be a hot babe.
Yeah. He could easily be.
Yeah.
And Robert Pattinson or who, and then on the female side too, it's like strength and muscle tone and all of that is certainly a sex symbol now. So it's an interesting, his comment there I thought was a more kind of global observation.
Genocide Barbie, Gal Gadot. Who called her Genocide Barbie?
I forget.
Someone did.
You're
recently.
right. Somebody did.
Yeah.
Why though?
Because she's Israeli and I think was pro-Israel in the
genocide Barbie. Did we do enough on Ivanka almost decapitating her son last week? I think we just referenced it with Matt Warshaw.
We did just reference it.
Does it deserve any more?
I mean, it just is what it is, right? Okay. It's like,
I loved it.
Well, it's great. It's it's full Val behavior, like funny. Hopefully everyone was scarred from that and they'll never surf again. Hopefully the kid was scarred. Hopefully Ivanka was scarred. Hopefully the kid watching it. Hopefully the instructors who made that happen got fired. Hopefully that one event led to multiple people never surfing again is what I can hope.
I think it'll just make more people surf.
Really?
Surfing ending up in mainstream media begets more surfers.
I hope that one, like a mom thought, I'm going to take the kids surfing this year, and then thought, never mind. I hope that a dad thought that doesn't look sexy or good. I hope kids thought, I don't want that. I hope there was a real culling from that image.
Okay. I think there's no such thing as bad publicity, and so it only generates more surfing.
Except for Prince Andrew.
Why?
Jeffrey Epstein. I think if Jeffrey Epstein is part of the publicity.
Oh, that's a good point.
It can be considered bad publicity.
By the way, lots more about Bill Gates in the news this week.
It's like Fast and Furious.
Everybody's coming out that he was a sexual harasser at Microsoft.
How much
the board ousted him?
Yeah.
And they did it quietly, apparently. They were like, oh, and they let Bill kind of say it was on his own volition. But now enough is coming out that they were like, no, his sexual misconduct
was serious.
Was what drove him out.
How much of this is a lawyer play by Melinda's legal team? I don't doubt.
I don't know.
Like that. I mean, it's crazy that all of a sudden, like the news waves are flooded with Bill Gates being a pervert. Not that he looks a lot like Woody Allen, so I'm not putting nothing past him at all. It's just how is it all starting to flood? And maybe it's just that. Maybe it's.
Well, I think that there are disgruntled employees, perhaps, that are leaking the information.
And now that they know that they have some semblance of protection because that he is in the news and he's not going to go sue based on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their motivation or for their timing would be.
When do you think bad stories are going to are going to start coming out about Melinda?
No,
because you think Melinda is on the.
I have a feeling
straight and narrow.
I have a feeling she was protected against some of these stories for a few years, but maybe started seeing smoke and realizing maybe where there's smoke, there's fire.
But there's no boy toy in Melinda Gates' closet, is what I'm saying.
I don't know that's.
Because that's
neither here nor there. To be honest, there very well could be.
But that's coming out.
That's fine. I'm not even bothered by that. Like, by the way, let's not conflate those two things. Like, having extramarital affairs are very different than sexual misconduct in the workplace, or somebody being in the level of position and power that Bill Gates is, and then leveraging that to sleep with people at work. Like, at a certain level of, yes, workplace romances happen. And by the way, he met Melinda at Microsoft and that turned into a marriage. So you can't really vilify that. But at a certain level of power within a company and just a publicly traded company, zip it up. Like, you can't sleep with people at work when you're that powerful.
What do you think?
Always be
What do you think Bill Gates' like flirt game was?
Terrible.
Do you think he would like bump up against girls in the cafeteria, Microsoft's cafeteria, and like say inappropriate? I mean, what was his?
I guarantee it was awful. He had no game. Like, how could he possibly? He never needed to, firstly. Yeah. He never developed it when he was young. And then he had billions of dollars and then just didn't need game. But I guarantee he still tried.
Yeah.
He still sidled up and like
tried to make small talk.
Tried to make a joke.
Sexy small talk.
Yeah.
Are there inappropriate pictures floating around that Bill Gates sent to people?
For sure.
You think so?
For sure.
Little snappies in the shower?
I think so.
Bill Gates.
I think so. So I think, yeah, if Melinda had an affair at some point throughout the relationship, I would not be surprised at all. But I also don't think that's the same thing as
being naughty at work. Being inappropriate.
Yeah.
Being criminal.
Yeah. Unless it was an underling, unless it was somebody in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that was looking
So now, okay, so nobody would have, let's go out on a limb here. Let's take this and run with it a bit. Nobody would have ever thought this about Bill Gates or Melinda Gates 2 years ago. Nobody on the outside, right? I would have never thought that Bill was...
Seemed like a happy couple to me.
Yeah, that he was being inappropriate at work. What is Mark Zuckerberg doing at work that's going to come out in 25 years? Or is Mark Zuckerberg just riding e-foils, flapping his arms like a condor, being a good boy?
Is anybody in that level of power and position a good boy?
That's what I'm asking.
I don't think they are.
So what is Mark doing? Is Mark flirting? Imagine Mark, who has more game, Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates?
Oh my gosh. I mean, who's the tallest midget? You know what I mean? I mean, it's a hilarious concept to think about.
I mean, Mark Zuckerberg must think that, like, because Facebook obviously started with rating girls. So Mark Zuckerberg at some point felt himself in a position to be able to rate girls, right?
Yes. Well, because he had zero power in that world of being able to like actually woo a woman. So he had to take to the internet and like, you know, but in terms of misconduct for Zuck, you know, I think that males are flawed in that way, period. Right. And, just like biologically, right? We just
biologically flawed.
Yeah. Like billions and billions of sperm at our disposal that we need to just plant our seed everywhere. There's kind of a biological flaw in the system. Right. And then if you have tremendous wealth from a very young age and you're surrounded by yes people, and then you create one of the largest companies that have ever existed on the planet, that puts your ego in a position that is just super unhealthy. And I think has these kind of inherent lack of governors built into it to where you just think like Bill Gates never knew he was doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
In the workplace, whatever inappropriate thing that he did, he just didn't know it was even wrong because his brain is that flawed because of those kind of artificial things that he has in his life. Absurd amount of wealth, absurd amount of accolade, absurd amount of nobody ever saying no. There's just no governors, you know, that hopefully your parents instill in you when you're young, but at a certain point, if you have all that other stuff, you just forget.
Wow.
I mean, it's a bizarro world to be living in. And then you have all these attorneys and your board for Facebook protecting you at every turn. Thankfully, the Microsoft board probably, you know, at a certain point realized,
hey, buddy.
Well, realized they had a obligation to shareholders and to protect their workplace, you know. But it's freaking a crazy thing to think about when nobody's immune.
Yeah.
Nobody's immune. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, I don't know why I'm so fascinated by the Bill and Melinda Gates thing week in and week out.
But it's pretty good. It's become now a nice anchor for the show.
It really has. Yeah. We know nothing about it.
Nope.
It's just so interesting to gossip about it.
I know as much about Bill and Melinda Gates, though, as I do about surfing, more or less. So it really is similar.
So none on both. Nothing on both. All right. Should we go to commercial?
Let's do it.
All right. Jazz, we're in commercial, and I'm going to let you vamp while I mix this beautiful powder.
You're making me so jealous. Have you ever done more? We talked about this. Have you done more than one athletic greens per day?
Rarely.
Did you feel twice as good? Or what caused you to do two in one day?
Is that I did it in the morning.
Yep.
And then I've become addicted to a smoothie in the afternoon.
Okay, so you just dumped it in the smoothie.
And so I love the Athletic Greens smoothie. And so I did it in the morning, so I was cleared for the day in terms of my intake. But midday I wanted a smoothie, and I'm like, I don't want a smoothie without the Athletic Greens, so I'm just going to pour it in there.
What kind of product is that? I'll tell you. The perfect product. The one that's good for you that you can't help but double down on.
I think so. Did you get a new shipment?
I did. It literally came to my house. Daughter Ava said, you have something. I said, what could it be? I opened it, and I was so excited that the family looked at me and said, what is your problem? You have supplements, a health supplement that you are like giddy about. And I said, you guys don't know athletic greens is what I said to them.
Make them know it.
Yeah, no, I just told Abe, I said, get on it, man. Get on the athletic greens. Got
She's an
enough for
athlete.
you.
She could benefit from it.
She's gonna. And her life, I'm gonna watch her career next year at the University of Arizona. See how much better she is.
You know where we failed the people?
How?
By not sending Kaya a shipment of athletic greens.
See, only if Kaya would have had athletic greens.
I can't believe I just thought of this.
That's a real bummer.
Oh my gosh.
Would have taken Pupo down, no problem. Wait, was it Pupo?
Yeah. Pupo took him down.
I know, but he would have drilled Pupo into the reef, into the rocks there at Rotnest.
I apologize to the people.
Sorry,
I have failed
people.
this.
I mean, but at least we're helping the people not fail themselves.
That's true. Okay.
Like,
There's
Kyle,
a silver lining.
whatever. Go fail, Kyle.
You know where they do it. It's not only athleticgreens.com. It is /surf. You have to put the /surf at the end, and that supports our work on this show.
You also get, with the /surf, D12.
You know, we spend some time in the sun, so we get some vitamin D, but not everybody does.
It's
or
important.
sometimes people live in parts of the world that don't get a lot of sun.
Vitamin D is very important. I used to think vitamin C was the only thing that mattered, really, at the end of the day. Yeah, vitamin C, you're fine. Vitamin D, it turns out, equally important to vitamin C.
Well, the Athletic Greens powder has 75 minerals and nutrients. If you add the vitamin D, that's 76.
I mean, you kidding? You basically don't need anything else in your entire life.
I agree. You can do bad things, but if you do this, it cancels them out. athleticgreens.com/surf.
Love it.
All right, Chaz, back to the show.
Fantastic.
Did you use your Athletic Greens take to buy a Rolly?
Oh, this is my old. It was just it was broken. It was inoperable. I've had this watch forever.
Did you buy it is it a knockoff?
No.
Did you buy it off a street vendor?
I bought this watch would be over 10 years ago today when I met the wife and I wanted to buy her a Rolex with her birth year. So I bought a 1971 Rolex and put it on before I gave it to her and then accidentally never took it off. But then, maybe a year ago, one of the number dial things got dislodged and then got stuck in the hands. And so I was going to get it repaired. I just took it into the watch shop the other day and they said, oh man, this thing can't be glued in. It's got to be riveted. We got to take the face off and send it to here and to there and the other thing and blah, 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 blah. And then I love it when an idea goes off in the moment where you don't think, wow, why didn't I do that? And then have to go back and do it again or just forget about it and leave it on the shelf. I thought, oh, bummer. Then I thought, wait, just take that little piece out of there. I don't care if my Rolex I just want it back. And so they just popped the thing out and I have my Rolex.
So there's no time marker at that
position? It's just the number.
It's missing a number?
The number 5 is missing its little silver bar.
I think that's a terrible strategy.
Why?
You have this masterpiece of Swiss engineering.
Sure do.
And you're not going to keep it in its best optimal condition?
It's like a scar, man. Tells a story.
Not when you want to resell it.
I ain't never going to resell this. That's the thing. Did
you keep the time? Did you keep the piece?
I have it. Okay. And so someday,
if you want,
if I ever think I got to get this all refurbished back up, and maybe at some point I'll have to have it reserviced. And so,
how often do you have to reservice watches like that?
I did this. I've done it once in the 5 years, or I'm sorry, in the 10 years.
Recommended servicing, like every year or something?
No,
okay.
I don't know what it is, but I think it cost me some stinking expense. It was like $500 or something to reservice. But it came back working just and has worked ever since, even though it got the thing jammed in the hands and I didn't wear it for a year.
Right.
It's works.
What was it going to cost to have it re-riveted and replaced?
It wasn't even the cost of it. It was just I didn't even get to the cost. I'm sure it would have been, I would have paid. But it was the hassle of it. It was I had to go to multiple different places to get the thing done. And I was like, no.
Stuff like that, I never get around to.
Yeah, of course. Ever. So I could have said, okay, thank you. And then, hassle.
I love the idea, the birth year for the wife, the vintage Rolex. I like the idea of vintage watches. I don't want any of the maintenance problems
that you don't have. You won't have if you get a Rolex. I mean, they really are fantastic machines. Like it is. Yeah, I got it serviced once.
All right,
ticks like a champ.
Which model is that?
It is the. The Oyster Perpetual Datejust.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the thing is, even though it's vintage, it looks exactly like the new one.
Sure, it's better. I mean, I like
the charm of the.
Not only that, I just like the face diameter size of those years better. I just like the way I like not those.
Giant.
Yeah.
I hate those giant watches.
Giant watches are not cool. Are you thinking about getting a Rolex now?
No.
You should get a Rolex. The birth date of your daughter. I mean, son.
It's a good. Yeah, I mean, it's way too expensive. That's all it comes down to. Got to buy a house.
Did you post? You didn't.
What?
Like someone pitching a balloon and hitting it and the powder coming out. Okay, I that's why I said daughter because I just watched one today.
Like a gender reveal.
It was a gender reveal, but it was kind of a funny one. It was somebody I knew, and like whatever. It was just like a balloon pitch, and the guy hit it, and it was pink. That's why I said daughter because I swore for some reason right there it was you.
Nope.
Good.
All right, so we'll get to barreling on 1 second, but we haven't talked about TV in a while.
Yeah.
Have you been watching Mayor of Easttown on HBO?
No.
It's fantastic, dude.
What is it?
Mayor, Mare.
Yeah.
I think the lead it's Kate Winslet, but I think her name's like Mary Ann.
Oh,
so she goes by Mayor.
Yeah, no, I have not.
She's a detective in Easttown, so it's called Mayor of Easttown.
Oh, it's funny. I looked at that I've seen it. I've passed by it multiple times and just think this looks boring.
Nope.
This looks boring. This looks boring. This looks boring.
Fantastic.
Okay, excited.
It's a whodunit kind of detective drama, hour-long episodes, and they're doing it week by week. And I think we're halfway through the season now.
Great.
4 episodes into 8, I think. But man, it's so good. And then it made me realize I love that genre. And I never watched True Detective.
Oh,
but everybody loved True
Whoa,
Detective.
stop at number 1.
Dude.
Just do yourself a favor and never watch more than the first season.
I heard that too, but we're burning through it.
How good is it?
It is amazing.
How good is Matthew McConaughey?
Dude, did he win a bunch of awards for that?
I must have.
Okay. Because I've been saying the same thing, but I don't want to look up anything online about it because I might ruin the story. I've said it 10 times throughout the series.
The bummer with True Detective, not a bummer, but I remember watching, and of course this maybe has not aged so well, but The Sixth Sense or whatever, M. Night Shyamalan, where I thought, that movie's amazing. That guy can do no wrong. Has never once made a good movie where you realize, oh, he had a good idea, and maybe that good idea wasn't even that good in retrospect. But the creator of True Detective, and because he's creator, writer, director, he's like the whole nine. You realize, oh, he had one good idea. Yeah. The other True Detectives the second one is bad. The third one is absolutely unwatchably terrible.
Wow.
So they get, and you don't see them ever peeling back out to a good idea. But the first one, that's all you need.
It's freaking ridiculously good. It's
well acted, well written, well directed,
unbelievable
good story,
yeah,
like creepy, interesting.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
M. Night Shyamalan has a show on Apple called The Servant.
Oh no, does it suck as bad as everything else he's ever done?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So we tried to get into it, and the tone, like his tone is always really good and like draws you in, but the story goes nowhere.
He just sucks.
It's just like all this tension and suspense built for zero.
Would you rather have one hit on your, have put all your creative energy into one thing that did good, but you knew you were never, ever, ever going to be able to even get close to that again, but you still had to try?
Yes.
Or would you rather have a string of mediocre that built on itself?
I feel better in the first scenario.
Really?
Yeah, I want to hit a zenith of genius and then be frustrated the rest of my life that I was never able to do it again.
Okay.
That's not who I am, unfortunately, but I wish that I was. I liked Terrence Malick when it was like he made one film every 10 years.
Yeah.
For 40 years, you know, just 4 films. That's it. And then and now he's made like 10 films in the last 4 years. Did the exact opposite. Anyways, All right, barrel or nah? Sharing earbuds. We did this last week.
I'm going to say barrel when sharing earbuds has really sorted me out or really solved a direct problem like 3 or 4 times, which is more direct problems than most things in my life have solved, right? And so talking to Matt Warshaw couldn't deal with the echo coming from both of us having our own devices set up, right? Yeah. The only way to solve that was put Warshaw on and us to sit together like a married couple. The only way that would work without fudging up our microphones was to share an earbud. Direct problem solved. I've done it with calls on with the wife before where like, it's some call that we both couldn't hear, had to have an earbud in. It's awkward. It's weird. You got to sit weird, but solving problems.
The end justified the means.
Exactly. Barrel.
I was wildly uncomfortable about it last week when you're like, well, let's just share earbuds. And I like looked at you and I'm thinking this like goes against kind of all of my better judgment. And then I thought about it in this week since. I'm like, the ear isn't the most offensive orifice. If you're going to have to like share with somebody that you're not, married to, it's not going to be, I'm not going to share a toothbrush with you.
Nope.
There's other things I'm not going to share with you. What could be the worst thing in your ear? And will it then infect my ear?
No, nobody. I don't think any one person, I don't think a disease, I'm no doctor, but I don't think any disease has ever been passed ear to ear.
I don't think it has either.
Yeah.
So on the face, I was really offended by it. And then through like just kind of pragmatic analysis, I just thought, you know what? It's inert. I think your ear is inert.
And look at the problem that it solved.
And
we had a podcast with Matt Warshaw.
It's
we
true.
could hear him. He heard us. There was no feedback on the microphone.
Averted technical difficulty.
Yep.
All right. Barrel then. For anybody who is ever concerned about this, your earbuds are not.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're not your private.
No.
You don't need to be
proprietary about your earbuds.
Exactly. Don't be precious about your earbuds.
Don't be precious about your ears.
Barrel or not, holding a handgun sideways to shoot it.
Ooh. I'm going to say no barrel. I'm no firearm expert, but I don't know, like a gun was made to shoot like straight up and down. The manufacturer made it that way. It was designed that way. That's the way it is supposed to be shot. Flipping it. Now we're talking about guns here. Handguns, exactly. A lot of things I'm all for stylish flair, but some things were meant to work one way and are best used that way. For example, I'm not going to take my surfboard and do something weird with it. I'm not going to try to ride it sideways because I think that has some stylish flair. Even if that did have stylish flair, if everybody was doing it, look at how cool this is. We can ride these things sideways. You're not doing it right.
It's really undermining the functionality.
Exactly.
So
some things were meant to be functional. I feel handguns are one of those things where functionality is why you have it.
Yeah. If you're really in a position where you're going to need to pull that trigger, I would want the most accuracy possible.
Yeah.
And the least potential to get hit in the teeth by my own weapon.
Yep. Style be damned.
When we were growing up, I feel like that was in a lot of movies. People pulling out the gun, holding it sideways, like, and trying to look tough.
Yeah.
Often not pulling the trigger, but doing it just to look extra tough if you held it sideways. And as a kid, it never looked cool to me. I thought, that looks so stupid.
I feel if I ever had to pull a handgun, the dude I would be is like basically Paul Blart with a gun. Like, wide stance for...
It's going to fall out of the holster before it ever makes it into like a raised position. And then you'll fumble it trying to pick it up and you'll shoot yourself in the foot.
You'd really want the like wide stance for stability, right? You'd want one hand out, the other hand bracing it below. Like real,
10 and 2.
Yeah, real cop style is how I would want to shoot my handgun.
I think if there was a face-off and there's one guy holding it sideways and one guy holding it the proper way, 10 times out of 10, the sideways guy gets shot between the eyes.
I figured that the guy, if they both squeeze off a round, sideways guy shoots the other guy in like the kind of grazes his torso. Sideways guy gets hit between the eyes.
I don't think the bullet even comes near the guy. I think it's off into the woods. just like takes out a bird. Speaking of grazing the guy, that's something that only happens in films.
Yeah.
And it happens, honestly, more than people actually die from a bullet wound in the movies.
Grazed. Lots
people
of grazing.
get grazed by bullets all the time. And often the protagonists, you're like, oh, they died. Oh no, it's grazed their neck.
Yeah.
Like, what are the odds of a bullet ever grazing you?
But just imagine how much space there is that's not you versus space that's you. But I guess the grazing, I see it's either miss or hit.
It's either miss or hit. I would say from 10 yards or greater with a pistol, 80% miss, 20% hit, 0% graze.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's
the odds on a graze
are tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Imagine getting grazed.
I mean, the odds are you more likely to win the lottery.
Would you trust, you and I are, let's say, 8 feet. Let's be generous and say 10 feet apart.
Yeah.
Would you trust the world's greatest marksman if they said he's going to graze your, let's say, neck right here, right? So if he hits it, like it's serious trouble. So there's high stakes here. World's greatest marksman. Graze your neck, $100,000.
No, not 100,000.
Really?
No.
50,000.
I'm saying go higher. I would not take the risk for $100,000.
$250,000.
$1 million.
Not 250,000.
I don't think so. No.
Really?
No.
All day, every day. I would do it for world's greatest marksman. I would do it for 50 grand.
No way.
40 even.
Oh my!
I get talked into 40. Yeah.
To risk getting shot through the neck.
Grazed.
That's what his goal is.
World's greatest marksman.
Man, I would not do it.
Yeah. Bet Matt Parker can shoot a gun good. I'd let Matt Parker graze me for 60 grand.
All right, we'll try to crowdfund this. All right, so holding a gun sideways, definitely not.
No barrel.
On that. Barrel or not, telling someone to suck it.
Barrel.
Really?
Love it. Yeah. Suck it is awesome. It's totally great because I like the sort of not necessarily sexual connotation with suck it because you can suck anything, right? Like, I mean, if I say suck it to you, it doesn't necessarily imply my penis.
That's the origin of that insult.
But it could also mean like suck your microphone.
No, it doesn't. Why would you tell somebody to suck a microphone? That's a terrible thing to suck. This is the most offensive insult ever conceived of that's become common.
Suck it.
You'll say it to a family member.
Yeah.
You know, like
suck it.
Yeah, tell your brother, suck it. Like, why would you ever tell your brother to suck it? That's insane to me.
I suck it.
I don't want to normalize suck it.
I'm a fan of suck it. My brother once dropped a sit on it and spin, which I liked that as
that's an old one.
Another version of suck it.
In front of your parents?
I can't remember where. Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe.
Terrible.
Sit. I think he just said sit and spin even.
When I remember hearing that insult before I even knew what it meant, like as a kid, just like, or not I think I understood what it meant, but I didn't have any sexual context. It was just kind of like, that's terrible for your butt. Like that would be so painful. Like, why would you do that? You know?
Did you ever have a sit and spin as a kid?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. That's right.
They were not very fun.
No. Okay. So suck it. You're going barrel.
Barrel. Big
I'm
barrel.
Going nah.
Love suck it.
I want to normalize suck it.
I feel like I've told Kelly Slater to suck it in the August pages of Beach Grip more than once.
I think you should be canceled for that. That's a terrible thing to say to him. Of all the terrible things you've said, telling him to suck it is the worst. All right. Well, it's educational episode.
What a show.
Thanks to albumsurf.com. Thanks to athleticgreens.com/surf. And subscribe on surfsplenderpodcast.com. Actually, I'll make it easy for you. In your show notes, hyperlink, it's all caps. It says support. It's the very first word in your show notes. Click that. It'll bring you over to the website. You could set up a $5 monthly subscription to support our work so that we could talk about things like sucking it and Bill Gates without risking cancellation. And you can potentially win the Shred skateboard next week. We'll announce the winner on the air.
Any wives mothers out there listening, get your stinking husband a Surf Splendor subscription for Father's Day. He wins, potentially, a skateboard, a surfboard. Get him some athletic greens. It's a one-stop Father's Day shop right here.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
This would be an amazing Father's Day gift.
Yep.
And so, again, the rules are support our show and then follow Shred Skate Co. and tag 3 friends in the comments there to help them gain awareness.
I'm going to follow Shred Skate Co. just to follow.
I mean, how beautiful is this thing?
It's gorgeous.
You can't even hear the wheels.
Gorgeous.
It really is an amazing piece of skateboard, recycled surfboard technology. All right, Chaz, until next week.
Jet Barrel.